Here's what's gonna happen. Whoever controls the streets controls the city. And I'm here now. From here on out, no more playing it safe.
You've really moved up in the world.
I was Carmine Falco's right hand. I'm gonna be the new Kingpin of Gotham.
Hello, I'm Colin. How are you?
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
I gotta tell you, I love the show. I watched the entire season, I think, in one day.
No way, did you really? Oh my God, you must have felt sticky at the end of it.
It was spectacular. At some point, I was like, I mean, I don't know. You cannot tell that it's you underneath that makeup, and that.
Yeah, it's a lot of business. It's a lot of business to be hidden beneath. Yeah.
I read an interview that you were ready to get rid of the prosthetics.
By the end, yeah, I was grumpy by the end. I mean, look, as I said, you know, there's no like, oh, woe is me, poor me type thing. Not that at all. I'm just owning my grumpiness. I was grumpy by the end. It was an incredible shoot, and it was a long shoot. The crew were extraordinary. Everyone worked so hard. I think we did 86 applications of the makeup or something like that. And by the end, I had just, as much as when we did the film, I was greedy and I wanted more than the 5 or 6 scenes I had in the film. By the end of the show, I was done. I'd had my fill. But I loved it. It was just you've seen the show. It was such a dark character by the end, you know.
It's a very dark character, but at the same time, you give us a reason to start liking Oz, and then you take it away because you're like, oh my God, but he's the really bad guy.
Yeah. I think Lauren, who was our showrunner, Lauren LaFranc, and our primary writer of the episodes, she had an extraordinary writers' room as well of writers that came together to do what ultimately ended up being about 500 pages of script. Like it was a tome, you know. It was. She was very keen on honoring what she felt was the character's charisma and likability and the humor of the character in the film, but by the end of the show she wanted to really articulate that he was a dark force and that he was not to be sympathized with, and I think she did a wonderful job with that, particularly in that one scene at the end of episode 8, which I didn't enjoy.
I cried.
Did you? Yeah, it's brutal. I didn't enjoy on the set that day. Everyone was. There was a bad buzz on the set that night. The crew, everyone just didn't really want to see that happen.
Absolutely.
Really, even though it was fiction, and we all know we're just telling a story, and it's a comic book origins. Everyone on the set that night, it was ugly stuff. You know, it just wasn't pleasant.
Colin, you have played so many like versatile, so different characters. Like I have so many favorite characters from your work, but how would you position Oz in terms of, I guess, challenging and difficult? If you have to compare it to,
I mean, on one hand, he was almost the easiest part I played because there was so much work was done for me by the extraordinary makeup of Mike Marino. You know, really, I just felt that I was given such a gift. Like I was given the most beautifully crafted puppet, and I was told to learn how to animate the puppet, you know, so my job was to animate Mike's work and bring to life Matt Reeves and Lauren LaFranc and all the team of writers, extraordinary work. And on another hand, it was tricky some days, you know, just being beneath all that stuff for 14 or 15 hours. It was just not like tricky that it was hardship or anything like that. I think just psychologically as well, because it was so well, like, you know, if you read a piece of writing and you don't find the writing to be strong or to have a certain flow to it, it's very hard to learn. There's a certain honesty to that, and if the writing is really beautiful and you find that the writing has a flow to it and you relate to it, it's much easier to learn. In the same way, this was written so beautifully, and Oz's descent into madness and psychopathy was so beautifully drawn that inevitably, if you give yourself over to it, even though it's only a job and it's only fiction, if you give yourself over to it, it'll start to inform your mood.
Built for guys like us. That's why we gotta take whatever we decide is ours. It's just the beginning.
We're in the middle of a gang war. You don't call the shots.
You think there's good and bad? Right and wrong? There's just this.
It's like when you go and watch a film that's emotional and that's sorrowful. You'll come out of the film after 2 hours and you'll be sorrowful. if you watch a film that's really uplifting and that's really positive, you'll come out of the film and you'll feel uplifted and you'll feel a sense of positivity. Same way, if you go to work on something, the tone of the piece, the mood of the piece should inform you a little bit. I mean, you shouldn't lose yourself completely to it. But all that to say, by the end of the the shoot on this, I was done.
And following up on that, because there is nowadays and in the world, there is so much darkness. How do you make yourself happy? What makes you happy in the world nowadays?
I don't know. I suppose nature is one of the great bombs. You know, nature is sometimes a victim of human behavior, but it's not informed by human behavior in regards to how it holds itself and how it exists within our world. Nature, trees, streams, rivers, lakes, the ocean, animals even. You know, so I lean into nature. I run. I surround myself with what I find are good people, decent, good, kind, fun people, you know, who by and large wish the best for others, regardless of what those others believe in or where they come from, or, you know. Look, the world is a marvelous place, and there's an awful amount of darkness and cruelty in it as well, and a shocking amount of violence. But it's also filled with really good people. It's also filled with really good, kind, generous people who are always willing to extend a hand, I find, you know. If you ever get down on the world, go on YouTube, go to like a, you know, a meditation or a sleep thing on YouTube and look at the comment section.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. No, I always think there is good in the world, and I always
there is
good in the small things in life. So
yeah, and each counterbalances the other, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
There's a storm coming. The start of a whole new empire. They're gonna tell stories about us. I'm gonna be the new kingpin of Gotham.